Hey guys, so today I wanted to film a storytime / Q&A video where I ask you a question, I give you my answer in story form from my past experiences, and then you leave your answers in the comments below and hopefully we can start some sort of discussion. So what I'm asking of you today is to tell me one of your most embarrassing travel stories or moments, or if you haven't traveled all that much, just one of your most embarrassing stories in general that you feel comfortable sharing. Leave them in the comments below and I will read and respond to all of them. So I couldn't ask for a better setting to tell you this story because it happened at an Airbnb that I stayed at in Kyoto when I came here 3 years ago, and I just so happened to be in Kyoto again and I'm staying at an Airbnb, so this is perfect. And I actually wrote about this story on my blog a while back, but I thought I would share it with you in video form because why not? It would be hilarious. So basically what happened was I was staying at an Airbnb that was right off of the main road that leads from Kyoto Station. It was still in a quiet residential neighborhood, but close enough to a lot of the tourist sites and the main streets that can take you places. And it was an apartment where the host was at home, so I just rented a single room, and you know, the host like had his own room. But it kind of felt like I had my own place because he didn't come home until like 10 or 11 at night from work. So yeah, that was kind of nice. Anyway, as part of like my guest duties in the Airbnb, like I just had to do many chores of just like keeping it clean and like sometimes taking out the trash. And one night I decided to take out the trash. I had just showered, so I was in pajamas and wet hair, and I figured I would be okay because I would only be outside a couple of minutes and it was still fairly early, so I figured not that many people would see me. And so in order to take the trash out, I had to go to the dumpster, which is outside the apartment building, and I left the key inside the apartment because I figured I would only be gone a couple of minutes, so I just left the apartment door unlocked. But on the key that my host gave me, there was like a little magnetic keychain that I needed to use to get into the actual apartment building. And since I left my key behind, I'm sure you can imagine where this story is headed. So I walked outside to take out the trash, and when I was heading back towards the apartment building, I realized that I had forgotten that magnetic key to let me back into the apartment. So I was standing outside in my pajamas with wet hair, and if you know anything about Kyoto, you know it's one of the most conservative cities in Japan. So you know, a lot of women, even if they're just running across the street to the convenience store, will put on like a nice clothes and makeup and do their hair. And I was just outside like looking like a bum in my pajamas and wet hair, and just locked outside of this apartment building. And I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't call my host to tell him what happened. And so the only thing I could do, or the only thing I could think of, was to just ring a random apartment from the buzzer outside. So I did that. I rang a random apartment for someone to help me, and at the time I could not speak any Japanese. Like I knew the very basics, but like I didn't know enough to explain my situation in Japanese. So I'm sure that the person that I rang had a lot of questions, but basically I rang this apartment that was on the first floor so that if they had walked outside of their apartment door, they could easily see who was on the other side of the glass door that wanted to come into the apartment building. And yeah, so I rang them, and this guy poked his head outside of his apartment door, and he kind of looked at me strange because he was like, you know, why are you like giving me this look like, why are you in your pajamas, and like, who are you, strange person, and like, do you really live here? I've never seen you before. And he let me back into the building, and I thanked him, and he actually had some friends over. I guess he was having some kind of dinner party, and they were like all poking their heads out from inside the apartment, like kind of looking at like, oh, who is this girl, and like, what the heck does she think that she's doing? And it was so embarrassing because like, I think even if you get locked out, that's just not something you do here. I mean, if you were in New York City or something, I think it would be okay, or it's a little bit more acceptable, but here it's just not something you do. If you get locked out of the apartment building, you have to call, you know, the landlord or something, and obviously I was not in a position to do that because, yeah, But yeah, I was really grateful that he let me back in without questioning, and I basically sprinted back to the 4th floor where the apartment was. And yeah, not one of my finest moments while traveling. And now I know never to go outside in my pajamas and wet hair, even if it's only for a couple of minutes, and to always make sure that I have my key. So yeah, leave your embarrassing stories down in the comments below, and I can't wait to read them. If you like this video, or if you feel bad for me in any way about what happened, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys again very soon. Bye bye.